The dominant communication style loves a challenge, so they create them all the time. Learn how to work effectively with the high D communication style in today's Live at the Gym. Hi, I'm Dale Fallon, and I welcome you to Live at the Gym, where we work out our communication muscles so that we can improve the quality of our conversations. The D communication style is the rarest of the disc profiles. It's extroverted and task-oriented, but they only make up about 9% of the global population. The high D personality styles are competitive, aggressive, decisive, and results-oriented. They prefer to move fast, take risks, and get things done now. Let's think about Buzz Lightyear from the movie Toy Story and his famous line, "To infinity and beyond." That's Buzz, right? That summarizes his character, and it speaks to the D communication style. They want to be moving fast. Buzz loves a challenge, and he seeks it out. He makes it. That's his whole thing. Go to infinity and beyond. So let's break down Toy Story a little bit. If you haven't seen the movie, it's a great movie. I recommend it. I don't know about number 4, but they were pretty good movies. But there are 4 characters in Toy Story movie that really represent the 4 communication styles. We're going to focus today on the D. That's Buzz Lightyear. He's an extroverted and task-oriented guy. He's excited, motivated. He's jazzed about the idea of going to infinity and beyond. He can't get there quick enough. He's always jumping in and trying to solve problems. Woody, his counterpart, is a high I, extroverted and people-oriented. He's all about the team. He's all about the people, and he keeps all the toys together on their journeys. When he thinks infinity and beyond, it sounds pretty exciting. Sounds like something that would be fun to do, and we could get everybody engaged and have a great time doing it. Now, some of the lesser-known characters, Rex is the dinosaur, the Tyrannosaurus Rex with the small arms, right? He's the S communication style, introverted and people-oriented. Slower paced. The idea of infinity and beyond sounds a little bit frightening. It sounds a little bit aggressive. Why do we need to go to infinity? He's uncertain, asking questions about it, but also wants to take care of everybody and make sure that that's okay. Mrs. Potato Head represents the high C communication style in the movie. She's uncertain because there's really no plan to go to infinity and beyond. We haven't even defined what beyond is. We don't know what beyond infinity is. Do we have a rocket? How are we going to get there? Mrs. Potato Head, the high C, introverted and task-oriented, wants a plan to understand how things are going to work. So this is a fun way to look at different communication styles. And since we're focusing on the D today, it's just me today because my natural style is a high D. If you are like me, you want to move quickly. You want to make things happen. You like to see outcomes. You like challenges. You like opportunities and to be in a position where you need to make decisions. And if things are moving, that's engaging for you. If that resonates with you, then you're likely to have at least some of a high D characteristics. You like to be moving forward. You like to be making things happen. Good competition, a good challenge. If you can't find one, sometimes we make one. Sometimes we do that unconsciously. And remember, an attribute of the styles, of the communication styles, is they're not good, bad, or indifferent in and of themselves. There are pros and cons to each of the styles, pluses and minuses. And the high D pro is when things need to happen, we move things forward. We want to get them done. We want to make them happen. The con is sometimes it's too fast. Sometimes the situation calls for slowing down and pacing ourselves and thinking things through a little bit. And sometimes we'll rub people the wrong way because of that drive and that push to make things happen. Pros and cons of the D. If you're working with a D, which is what we want to talk about in today's exercise, and you're not naturally a D, there are some tips that we'll give you and an exercise that we're going to talk about how you can really adapt your style to meet the D and become a more effective communicator with that high D style. They're relatively easy to say, but they're not as easy to do because some of them are very visceral, and some of the varying styles in communicating with a D can sometimes get a little brushed back. So this is where practice becomes so important, where you getting out of your comfort zone and practicing offline, that it will help you build strength. The time to practice your D is not with your boss for the first time that you're trying to get a project moved through or get a raise or something like that. The time to practice your D is when you're mowing the lawn by yourself, or when you're talking to and practicing in a peer group with people who understand what you're trying to do, because there's some physiological connections to that D. So let's talk a little bit about how you can adapt your style and what that adaptation looks like. And then I'll show you an exercise that you can do at home to build that muscle and help it work. How do you adapt to the D style? The first thing you want to think about is to be direct. Boil it down to the essence. Whatever the situation or the communication element is you're trying to bring to the table, boil it down to its essence. The D doesn't want a lot of the story or the background or all of the other things. They may already know it. They may not already know it, but they want the simple, direct piece of what's the most important aspect of this. What do we have to decide on, and what do we have to move forward? Be proactive. So one, boil it down. Two, be proactive. Oftentimes when there's a problem or a challenge, people won't present it. They'll kind of wait and sit back and try and think it through. A high D would rather be interrupted with a problem, says, hey, we got a problem. Let's get it done. So be proactive and take action on a problem don't wait for the problem to present itself or for them to find out, worse yet. Speak up. This can be a challenge, but this is where practice comes into play. Make your voice heard. Practice being loud. Not yelling. You don't have to be angry. A lot of people think the D is an angry style. It's not. Just speak up. Practice your voice. Practice your assertive voice. Practice your outside voice, if you will. So boil it down to its essence. Boil the message down to its essence. Be proactive and speak up. And the final point I want to put in is make a decision. Give the high D a decision to make. That puts the ball in their court to do something about it and to make it a multiple choice, A, B, and C. And that's the exercise that we're going to work on. So I think it's time. All right. So for you to do this exercise, you're going to take a specific request or a problem that you have, and you're going to turn it into, you're going to break it down and do it in this way. So I'm going to take a situation where my team has been working on a parts issue for 2 days. We've got a project, we call it the Hartman project, and we've been working on it for 2 days, and we have to take a new direction. My project lead is a high D communicator. So what do I want to do in advance? First of all, I'm going to get to the point. I'm going to be specific about what the problem is, and then I'm going to provide solutions with a decision to make. So in this case, I'm going to provide 3 solutions for that need a decision to make. And they're pretty well thought out solutions. So a lot of people think because the D is just fast, 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 you don't have to be in depth in terms of providing solutions. You do think it through, but then when you present them in a simple, direct, and specific way. So what I'm going to do for practice today is I'm going to start with my general statement. I'll talk it through, and then I'm going to boil it down. This is where the practice piece comes in. I'm going to practice my delivery. I'm going to boil it down to fewer words, get to the point quicker. This doesn't have to be a real world practice either, by the way. I'm practicing offline so I can practice presenting it in a way that I wouldn't normally do maybe in an actual presentation, but the practice will help. So I'm going to practice my delivery. I'm going to boil it down. I'm going to boil it down again. I'm going to boil it down again. I'm going to do this 3 times, or I'm going to say the same thing, but each time I'm going to go to compress and compress to make it fewer and fewer words. This is a great way to practice your D communication style so that you can get better. All right, so I'm going to my project lead, and I'm saying, listen, Lisa, we're at risk of running behind schedule on the Hartman project. The standard parts are on hold and will not be available for 3 weeks. This will put the project behind schedule, and we're not going to be able to finish on time. So I have 3 options for going forward. First, we can do nothing, stay on our current schedule after the parts arrive, and we'll be on budget, but we'll be 3 weeks behind schedule. Option number two is we can add overtime after the parts arrive from the original provider. This will put us $24,000 over budget, and we'll still be 7 days late on delivery because we just can't get it done within that time frame, even if we work 24/7. Now, option number 3 is we can order the parts from another supplier, substantially higher price because we don't have the volume discounts with our current supplier, and we can overnight delivery. This will put us $32,000 over budget, but we can still get there on time. My choice, I like option number 3, but it's your call. Okay, so that's my first take at this exercise. Now I'm going to try to boil it down. I'm going to go back, repeat the same thing. I'm going to boil it down. Hey, Lisa, we're running behind schedule. We have the chance of running behind schedule on the Hartman project. parts are delayed in some port somewhere, 3 weeks behind schedule. It's going to put the project way behind, unless I've got 3 options for us to go forward. First option is to do nothing. Obviously, we stay over 3 weeks behind on delivery if everything else goes well. Option number 2, we can add overtime when the parts get here. It's going to cost us $24,000 over budget, but still 7 days behind delivery. We just can't get around that with the overtime option. Option number 3 is I've got another supplier. It's going to be $32,000 over budget, but we can still be on time with that. I like option 3, but it's your call. I'm going to boil it down again. I'm going to take it even farther. This doesn't even have to be real world. I may not say it this way, but the key with the D is to cut to the chase. Don't beat around the bush. Take the extra out of it. Okay. Lisa, the Hartman project, we've got a supply issue. The parts aren't going to be in 3 weeks late. I've got 3 options for you. Let me know what you want to do. Number 1, 3 weeks late. Nobody likes that option. Number 2, we add overtime when the parts get here. It puts us 7 days late, 24.5 over budget. Option number 3 is I've got another supplier. It's going to cost us $32K over budget, but we can still be on time. I like option number 3, but it's your call. So what I did there, first of all, I did the prep. I gave options, and then I boiled it down and broke it down and broke it down to the very easiest and shortest way to present the information. Now, I'm still going to practice that a couple more times because I want it to be professionally presented, but easy to understand. And I'm a lot closer on the third option than I was on the first. Simple, succinct, make it clear and easy. This is how you practice communicating with the D. Make sure that you also practice it in a good, strong tone. Put your shoulders back, stand up tall, and present the information clearly. All right? So try it today. If you have information to bring to a high D communicator, work through that exercise. Write it out first, present the problem, present the options, and then move forward and practice, practice, practice. Prepare yourself before you have your next conversation. Get rid of any non-essential information and ask them to make a decision. Give them options. And don't practice until you get it right once. Practice until you can't get it wrong. I hope you take advantage of this opportunity to practice, learn this skill. It's a great way to learn to be a better communicator with a high D, all right? And join us Thursdays right here on LinkedIn for more communication workouts. Don't forget to practice until you can't get it wrong. Grab the complimentary playbook page from the comments section down below. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and our blog for more communication practice tips and exercise. I want to thank you for joining us today for this week's workout, and we'll see you at the gym.